Welcome to Being at Home with George. I'm excited to be here today, and I'd like to talk about this idea of saying yes to life and at the same time generating hope. And I want to talk about this idea of you've heard this old habits die hard. So, what is that? And what do we mean by that? So, in this case, I'm talking about an old habit I have, and I suspect others have, of meeting force with force. And so why is this important? Because when we meet force with force, we don't really hear each other. We just escalate the confrontation because we're coming from survival mode or for safety, feeling like we're at risk. And so how can we change that? We can change that by just noticing, being aware of it beforehand. If we can think that this is the situation where I'm going to be more apt to meet force with force and realize that force meeting force doesn't work, that when force comes up, we can relax. We can notice, relax, and let it go, not take it personally, and actually rewire our brain so we're not feeding that habit of meeting force with force. I'll give you an example. Today, I was driving to a doctor's appointment, and there's two lanes, and I'm in the left lane, and the other person's in the right lane. And as we're driving at a slow pace, it turns out that there was an obstruction. They were doing construction, so that the lanes had to merge. And so my interpretation is this car was coming and just bullied. It just cut me off, not even looking at me. And when that person did that, I automatically moved up and wouldn't let them in. That's the force beats force. And then when I saw that there was an obstruction there and he was getting to the end, then I let him get through. I let him go through. And even as he was going through, he was complaining and yelling and screaming. And I could see part of me saying, dude, I'm letting you through, just go. But at the same time, me getting into forceful energy or survival mode, it affects me. So I was able to just notice it and then say, oh, okay, now I understand that. But then I reacted to his reactivity. I said, I let you hit. What's the problem? So that is what I mean by the old habit of just meeting force with force. And even after I let him go, there was more force because there was this habit pattern. I said, I let you through, and now you're going to complain to me. It's like, come on, man, that's BS. But at the same time, reflecting on it now, that even though I let him in and I reacted a couple of times, but I was able to catch myself thinking about it now, it's helping me to reflect on, okay, I'm meeting force with force. What if I just notice, relax, let go? And then next time they say, okay, let's pause a little bit because of the time pressure and the space pressure because you're holding people up. What if I just say, okay, I'm just going to pause and just see and let them in? What if I let the person in and just pause and just be okay with not having to be the first one or not having to meet force with force, but to meet force with softness. And that's coming from a place of ease inside of me of just being able to breathe and relax and notice, relax, and let go. And even now I'm talking about it, I can feel the tension that comes because now you're getting into a confrontation where there could possibly be at least sign language to each other or yelling or whatever, and just letting it go. And then noticing the other person that even though I let him in, he was still acting as if I didn't let him in. That was a reaction as well, a forceful reaction. And so the whole lesson here is to notice that we have all of these encounters every day where we interpret force coming from outside of us and we meet it with force, where maybe we can not meet it with force and let that force just go by us. Just let it go. Just notice, relax, let it go. Just get out of harm's way. And so we can do that all day long. Is I guarantee you, I know in my life, there's always a possibility of confrontation. And if I could just relax and say, just like me, that person wants to be happy, or if they're coming from that space, he's afraid. He was afraid that he was going to hit the barrier or get stuck. And so, of course, he wanted to get out of there before he got to that limitation or that boundary. But I didn't see the boundary, and I was just seeing his force, and I met it with force instead of just saying, "Okay, pause, let him do what he's doing, and then keep moving." So it's like creating physical space for that car to go through. And we talk about creating space between stimulus and response. There was no space; it was just reactivity. But even in reactivity, in the moment, I can just stop and then pause and notice, relax, and let go.